And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth on KDX AM 1590 with Darren Todd. I'm very excited for my next three guests. It's going to be a little bit of a different show today. We're going to switch out some things. Right now, on the microphone, we have Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public School Band. I'm very excited for Dustin to be. May I call you Dustin?
Absolutely.
Very excited for Dustin to be able to come and talk about the exciting things for the band. I was talking to him off the air, and I think he indicated there's 53 members.
Yeah, 53.
Very excited about the numbers of the band. Also joined here by Honesty Long. How are you doing, Honesty?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
She's a member of the band. And then here in a few minutes, we're going to work in Dalton Bailey. Of course, we could never forget Dalton Bailey, but he's always, as we indicated, letting ladies go first. So we'll talk to Dalton here in a minute. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to the booth on KDX AM 1590. Mr. Bush, Dustin, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you wind up in Kennett? And tell me a little bit about your upbringing and your education, if you don't care.
No problems. So I was born in North Carolina, so about an hour from the bottom of the Outer Banks, and I was a military brat. I had family in the St. Louis area, and somebody got sick, and we moved to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, and I was in third grade, and we moved from North Carolina to Illinois, and excuse me, kind of made it all the way through, and just ended up living there, graduating high school from Muscuda High School in Muscuda, Illinois. Go Indians. And
shout out to Muscuda. Again, this is Darren Todd, and welcome to the booth. Talking to Dustin Bush. And talking about Muscuda, I went to school at Southeast Missouri State, so I went with the school of several people from Muscuda.
Yeah. I didn't know much about SEMO when I was at Muscuda, but I was in high school. I didn't know much about anything. So we ended up... I ended up going to Evangel University in Springfield, Missouri, and learned all that I needed to learn about church music, and was also double majoring in music education to teach band, choir, whatever, and got married, got some kids, and got stuck in Springfield for quite some time, and I just finished my church music degree, and we were going through the whole process of life, eventually having a total of 6 kids. And during the pandemic, I decided with the money that the government was throwing at us, because we had 6 kids, that we were going to make it so that I could get more of a full-time job. At the time, I was working 7 different jobs, not in education, just little bits in here, because it's not easy to do long-time work in Springfield in a lot of cases. And so I finished my master's degree in the arts of teaching, and applied for a job for Kennett, along with lots of other locations that I was applying. I originally wasn't going to apply for the job in Kennett. It was an assistant position with the director who was here before me, and the job was, I didn't want to be an assistant. I wanted to be in charge. I wanted to be the person making the decisions. But I tell the kids all the time, the story is kind of funny to me. I had a tooth pulled, and I was on some medication at the time, and I with this educational applications, you can just fill out a couple questions and carry everything else over from another application. And so I did that on a Friday afternoon, and that evening, Dr. Leaker had called me and said, "Hey, we'd like to schedule an interview with you on Monday." Had that interview on Monday, and then about 2 weeks later, was approved by the board.
Outstanding. And we're talking with Dustin Bush, the director of the band here at Kennett Public Schools. And we're also joined by Honesty Long, who's also a member of the band. Honesty, tell me a little bit about yourself. How old are you? What grade you are going into, and what do you do in the band?
My name is Honesty Long.
Right.
I just turned 17, and I play the flute, and I am in auxiliary. I'm color guard.
All right, and let's talk a little about the auxiliary in addition to the band. Dustin, how many members of the band do we currently have at Kennett Public Schools?
I actually just checked my roster. We have 52 in the band. 52.
And that's an outstanding number. I know that each and every one of them is excited about being a part of the band. And we'll go through and talk a little bit about it. In addition to the band, is there also some auxiliary? And when we say auxiliary, do we mean twirlers, flags, things of that nature? Honestly, tell us a little bit about the auxiliary.
Well, I am in the flags portion, which
Sure.
is color guard. We work with Miss Shelby Pitts. We 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 march behind the band during like parades,
Right.
and twirlers go in the front. Also with field show, where
I understand. And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking with Dustin Pitts, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, also with Honesty Long, who's a member of the auxiliary, who's also very excited to be here, and Dalton Bailey. We're going to get to Dalton here in a few minutes and talk a little bit about Dalton. Dustin, tell me a little bit about the members of the band. You've got to be excited with those numbers.
I am. When we first started, we started with 40 at the very beginning. 20 of them were freshmen. The other 20 were mixed between sophomores, juniors, and a few seniors. And we made some changes, and it quickly dwindled by the end of the year to 33. But each year we've gained students through transfers and continuing on from 8th grade. And we've even had every year we've had at least one or two who have returned as a junior or senior who weren't here before, because they saw what we were doing, they liked what we were doing, and they really work hard. The band is growing both in numbers, but also musically, emotionally. One of the most important things that we've done is the band has established what we call the band family values, and it's 5 areas that if it doesn't fit into those categories, we don't do it. And so the band chose the number one item is respect. If we don't show respect, there's no reason to continue. If we're not disciplined, there's no reason to continue on the work that we're doing. We've got to be engaged in what we're doing, connected with what's happening at the podium, connected with what's happening on the stands, connected with what's happening on the field. And then once we get those 3 areas, then we can finally get into the musical excellence aspect. And the students think that that's the whole point, and it's really not. The point really is those first 3 areas, which is where band is shown as a discipline across all areas of education, improves student behavior, student reactions, and educational understanding. And then the last thing that we do, which is what really, really keeps kids in band for 7 years, is the camaraderie aspect, where you're just hanging out with friends. We go on all these trips and things, and the kids get to spend a long time with the kids that they see every day and friends that they call friends for years and years after.
And again, we're here with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, as well as Honesty Long, who's a member of the auxiliary flag corps, and Dalton Bailey, who we're going to talk to here in a few minutes. And again, I would be remiss. You indicated that band starts in junior high. Is that correct?
Yes, middle school, 6th graders.
6th graders. And obviously, is it my understanding you also have an assistant who helps you?
Yes, my assistant band director is my wife, Melanie Bush. We've been married for just over 20 years, and she is. We worked really well together in kind of a mother and father capacity with the students, regardless of their background, their history. We treat them just like we would our own kids, and they respond really well to that.
And in talking a little bit about, you indicated, you filled out some applications. There was an assistant job here in Kennett that wound up with you being the head director. And you indicated that you didn't want to be just the assistant. You want to be in charge. But if your wife is the assistant, are you really in charge, Mr. Bush?
Absolutely, because she doesn't like taking phone calls, and she doesn't like making the hard decisions. That's what she says in front of the band every time. She's like, no. He's in charge because I don't want to have to do those hard things.
And again, we're here with Welcome to the Booth with Dustin Bush on KDX AM 1590. Honesty, tell me a little bit about your experience. How long have you been in the band here in Kennett?
I have been in the band since my 6th grade year. I started halfway through the year because I was in art at first and I swapped out. I originally wanted to play the saxophone with my best friend, and it didn't work out because they didn't have any extra. So they were like, "You look like a flute player." So they had me try it, and apparently it was perfect.
Outstanding. And in Mr. Bush, Dustin, as we're talking about that, I think it's amazing that some of these kids can play these instruments as well as they can. I think it's also amazing that you have the ability to decide, hey, we're going to figure out what's the best fit for this individual in our band. How do you go about doing that? How do you decide who's a woodwind, who's a brass, who's a percussionist, and in my case, who's just a watcher, wishing I could play as well as you guys do?
Well, it's interesting because it's not an exact science, and we get it wrong some of the time. And so that's why we let students switch instruments and make changes. But basically, there's a test, and you can look it up online. You can find it. It's really, really old. It's called the Selmer Band Test. And there are 4 different areas. One tests if you can tell the difference between 2 pitches or if they're the same pitch. Another one tells if you can tell if the rhythm is the same between 2 different playings. And it's old school MIDI, nasty sound, thinking like beep, turn the page kind of 1980s music. But we take all those different things and we apply them to certain stereotypical aspects of the instruments that they're looking at. And then we physically have the kids hold the instrument and play the instrument. If they are trying to play on a clarinet and they cannot get that reed to make a sound, we may still try them on an alto saxophone mouthpiece because the mouthpiece shape is slightly different. But like you have a student, I actually had a student at a previous employment that he was playing trumpet and literally his lips were popping out both sides of that mouthpiece. And I'm like, let's try you on trombone because the mouthpiece is significantly larger. And he, as far as I know, last time I saw him a couple years ago, he's still playing trombone, and it's been a long time he's playing out of high school and everything, and they stick with it if they fall in love with it. So half of the effort is just finding out their natural skills and what's going to work, because certain instruments need better rhythm skills, certain instruments need better hearing skills. But the first and foremost is the work we actually have to do is to get them to fall in love with the instrument and fall in love with playing.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Very excited to have Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, as well as Honesty Long, a member of the auxiliary, also a flute player. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Also, we have Dalton Bailey, who we're going to talk to here in a few minutes. Dustin, in going back and looking, and I want your opinion as an educator and kind of give me an idea of what you think in regards to band. A lot of people say, well, I don't know if I want to be involved in band because I'm concerned about my GPA. In the event that I can't do something extremely well, I don't want to say, I got to be in band or whatever. Do you think that the importance of band and art should be more of a, hey, it's a pass-fail, possible participation, or what is your philosophy on that? I mean, I want individuals to be involved in it, but I think a lot of them are scared because they're concerned about, hey, if I can't do this and I fail, where am I at? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. In the way that we do grading in our school and the way that our philosophy is, it's more about, it is strongly about participation, because if you aren't going to show up to our concerts, if you're not going to show up to the Gatorade game, for instance, and you're not going to show up at football games because they're after school, that's a majority of what we do, because we do have that pep aspect of music, and then the performance is the purpose of learning to play the music in many cases. But at the same time, it is a very objective grading in the fact that you're grading them against themselves. So it's not like you're going to a contest and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 17. You're going, okay, well, last time you could play 3 notes accurately, and now you can play 10 notes accurately. You still can't play the whole passage very well, but you can now play more notes accurately every single time. Or you can play the rhythm 100% accurately, but you just can't get the note to speak the right way. Or you can get the notes all out, but you just are struggling with the rhythm. It's a lot more subjective, and it's really, really important that that students understand it's about their growth, and growth happens in discipline. Growth happens in that respect and that engagement aspect.
And I think Honesty wanted to add a little bit of something to that. Again, we're here. Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking a little bit about band and things of that nature. Honesty, you wanted to add a little bit to what Mr. Bush had to say?
I completely agree with what he's saying. I just wanted to add, it's less about going in and being perfect, and it's more about showing that you're willing to try and willing to learn on said instrument in that place, willing to put yourself up there and fail to get better.
And I think, as we're talking here with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Band, Kennett Public Schools Band, Honesty Long, who's a member of the auxiliary, and also Dalton Bailey, who we're going to get to. We're not forgotten about Dalton. He's being very patient on the side there. I think it's very important for kids that age, it's a very difficult time when you're 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old of, I don't want to try something and fail because I'm afraid that somebody's going to laugh at me or I'm not going to be the best at anything. And, I think people need to realize that there are some people who are naturally talented, naturally gifted, but you have to give it. For instance, I interviewed Lemmy Pulliam, who's one of the world-renowned tenor operatic singers in the entire world. Yes. It just takes some time to get it out of you. You have to put some time in it, practice, and not be afraid to say, you know what, I'm going to try the best I can. As you indicated, not everyone's going to be the best, but if you improve, I think you can really get yourself to a situation in which you're like, hey, it was worth the effort. I've made some great friends. I've learned some stuff and things of that nature. Tell me a little bit about the Gatorade performance. I saw some, I was there. It sounded outstanding. Tell me a little bit about how are you getting these kids to sound so good so early in the year?
Well, okay, so Gatorade game was awesome. I'm really glad that so many people came out and supported all those sports and activities for the fall. I know the band was disappointed because we wanted to do our first movement for our field show. And so the way that we get all these things active is we do band camp before school starts. So before school starts, there's the teacher week. Before that week is what Misha calls the dead week or the no contact week. And before that, we have 2.5 weeks that I meet with leadership, I meet with new students, I meet with percussion, and then we have a full 9 days where every band member is on the field learning their marks, and then we go inside and we learn the music, and it's all about discipline and just pushing through. Our disappointment this year was it was so hot with all the extra heat that we were inside before 9:30 every single day, and we lost the entire afternoon, all 9 days. So last year we would have been ready had we been in a performance status at Gatorade game last year. But really the power comes down to the students, and part of what we're building there is the student leadership action. Both Honesty and Dalton are part of the student leadership. And they get part of that based on their behavior and all that kind of stuff, as well as their willingness to help others. And it's that student leadership that's pushing those students to get better, and just not letting them up and saying, "Hey, don't give up, keep on trying." And I've seen runs of text messages between sections where the section leaders say, "Hey, let's just get all together. Maybe we practice together a little bit on our own," or, "Hey, don't forget, be here early 10 minutes so that we can do this." Or it really comes down to the students leading the students. The absolute best that I can do for them is to give them a platform that they can take the lead. The only way we're going to grow a band program is by the students growing the band program. I can drag every single kid in there I want, but if they don't want to be there and the other kids don't want to be there, it's not going to happen.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, Honesty Long, who's a member of the band, and also Dalton Bailey. Honesty, I'm going to ask you this question because I think it's very interesting. I look through the Facebook page and things of that nature, and I see band camp. We're talking a little bit about band camp. Tell the people or listeners what exactly is band camp, when is it, how long does it last, and a little bit about what the students go through.
Okay, so band camp, what is it? It is a time period in which the students and the teachers, the band directors, work together to, in this case, we work on the field show. Our theme this year is Arabian Nights. It's really cool. We work on music usually in the mornings or the afternoons. It depends on the temperature outside and what we can do.
And let's talk a little bit about that. What time does it start?
It starts 7 in the morning.
Okay. And then how long do you go?
7 to 3, but at 10:30 we have an hour and a half lunch break, which is amazing.
Right. And then we'll talk to Dustin a little bit. I'm very amazed, with everything that the kids are trying to do. There's so many activities going on. They're trying to do summer jobs. They're trying to work. Did you have a good participation in band camp this year?
Yeah, so we have 52 officially on the roster. We average around 42 at band camp. And now there are some that I knew had medical issues unrelated to band camp, but just their own thing that they had to be dealing with. And then I knew of one student who was out of the country and those kinds of things. But yeah, we have a pretty good pretty good outcome. It's expected. The students go into the school year knowing it's expected. Our first year, it wasn't really expected. Out of the 40, we had 12 during band camp those first weeks, and Dalton remembers that because he was a freshman that year, and it was mostly freshmen that showed up. But we have an expectation, and they know that if they want the program to be good, if they want the presentation to be good, if they want the field show to be good, if they want to go to a contest and impress the judges, impress their family, impress their parents, they got to step up and push in.
And tell me a little bit about the members of the band. And again, we're here with Dustin Bush, the director of the band here at the Kennett Public Schools. And I guess what would be easiest, explain to me, there's woodwinds, there's percussionists, there's brass, there's auxiliary. Is there anything else that I'm missing that we need to break down as far as the band?
No, it's traditional band segments. You got woodwinds, you got brass, you got percussion. The woodwinds are flute, clarinet, saxophone family, all the saxophone family, and then brass, trumpets, and rather than French horns, we have mellophones, which are basically French horns with bells pointing forward.
Let me ask you this real quick, and I didn't mean to interrupt. One of my favorite instruments is the sousaphone.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any sousaphones?
Those are tubas. So yeah, there's three of them.
Don't try to trick me with fancy words. We're going to call them sousaphones.
Well, sousaphone is an instrument that was actually created by John Philip Sousa specifically for marching tuba sound, to get it forward and projecting more, because tubas typically would point up, and when you're outside, that low sound just kind of dissipates if it's pointed up. So he created the sousaphone, which bends the bell forward. It wraps it around them like a big giant snake. And we have 3 of those this year. One of them is one of my sons, and they're working really, really hard to kind of boost that bass end. And so we have marching mellophones instead of French horns, and we have marching baritones or marching euphoniums, where the bell points forward instead of up. It helps with that projection, helps get those melodies out. Sousaphone the same way. And so then we have our percussion, which this year will be battery and the front ensemble will all be together. The battery, the snare, the quads, and the bass drums will not be marching. Excuse me. They'll be sitting near the back of the field with the rest of the percussion and playing as a unit. And then we have the auxiliaries, the color guard and the majorettes. We have quite a few of those this year.
And again, we're here with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools band. We're with Honesty Long, who's a member of the auxiliary, is also a flutist, and we have Dalton Bailey, who we're going to talk to real soon, I promise. Let's kind of go through, and there's so many questions. I watch these shows, and I'm always amazed. Who's the current drum leader of the band?
So we have 2 drum majors. We have
drum majors. I apologize.
I like it in Arkansas. They call them field commanders, which is kind of cool. But in Missouri, we call them drum majors. It's Adrian Martinez and Graham Roberts. There are 2 drum majors. We started a new thing this year where they're seniors. We have elected a junior who will hopefully take the place as drum major next year, as an assistant drum major this year. That is Billy Roberts. And then I have an apprentice who is a sophomore who will eventually step up the ranks as well, and that is Shyla Reese.
Outstanding. And whenever I go to the shows, and we're going to talk to the roster, we're going to go through everybody on the band, and it just brings questions. I notice when I watch it, the bells are in the front, kind of on the track area. If you've ever been to the Mintz Cherry Stadium or any other stadium, is that where the percussion is going to be? You indicated, or are they going to be in the back?
So usually that's what they call a front ensemble,
right,
or a pit ensemble. That's when they added, a lot of mallets and things that you can't really march with very well. For our show, ours is going to be behind the hash, almost at the halfway mark in the field, just to keep everything. If they're in the front, then there's a possibility of a phasing issue where the band playing behind them doesn't hear them until it's too late, and then you get this weird echo that happens.
You're way above me and all that. Obviously, you know exactly what you're talking about. We're talking to Dustin Bush. Extremely lucky to have him at the Kennett Public Schools in charge of the band. Honesty Long. And Honesty, if you don't care to just switch out with Dalton. And while they're doing that, Mr. Bush, if you would like to go through and kind of explain however you want to break it down. Again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, and we're talking to Dustin Bush, who's in charge, the director, along with his wife, of the band there at the Kennett Public Schools. And we're going to kind of run through the roster of the Kennett Public School band, the high school band, anyway.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and do that if you don't care.
Okay, so we have our freshmen, Elena Biggs, Emma Bush, Samuel Bush, Corbin Carter, Destiny Childress, Madeline Chronister, Callie Cup, another student that way, Jose De La Paz, Jackson Holloway, Frank Johnson, Shay Marshall, Bailey Myers, Camden Palma, Addison Sebastian, Joshua Sebastian, Micah Torres, Andreas Vargas, Jackson Westerfield, and Jeremy Wheeler and Mason Wright. Those are our freshmen. Our sophomores are Chris Busma, Adrian Culp, Caton Davis, Yesenia Flores, Denaya Pulliam, Shyler Reese, John Roberts, Aaron Russell, Lindsay Sari, Davina Shelton-Taylor, Jess Snipes. Our juniors are Garrick Bush, Aiden Chase, Denasia Hamilton, Honesty Long, Carrington Mezzo, Jace Palmer, Marley Parnell, Landon Ragland, Billy Roberts, Benton Vandergriff, and Destiny Young. And our seniors, these are the students who are our freshmen, our very first year in Kennett. We're going to cry a lot when they leave. Dalton Bailey, Madison Dameron, Lily G, Emma Jared, Adrian Martinez, Sally Matheny, Ryder Parnell, JD Quinn, Toby Ray, and Graham Roberts.
And again, that was the list of the members of the band of the Kennett Public Schools, the high school band. We're talking to Dustin Bush, who's the director of the band here at Kennett. On Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. And we've had an opportunity. We talked to Honesty Long, who's a member of the band in the auxiliary. Now we switched seats, and we've got Dalton Bailey. How are you doing, Dalton?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And Dalton's a senior. I know he's very excited. I think he's got 4 days in with this new school 4-day school week. Dalton, what do you do in the band?
I play the baritone, and I'm also one of the brass section leaders.
And explain to the listeners a little bit, what is a section leader at the band? What are your duties? What are you kind of trying to instill as a section leader?
We're kind of a bridge between the directors and the drum majors. Instead of the members of my section going straight to them for questions, they can come from me, ask for help with fingerings, where their spot is on the field, just things like that.
And I think it's like a well-oiled machine when you're out there and you're trying to do different directions and things of that nature. You don't really need to know everyone else's play. You just need to know what you're supposed to do. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then as section leader, you're able to help those younger kids who are probably nervous as heck, if like I would be, out there as all these people are watching them, trying to, first of all, play the music correctly and then figure out how I'm supposed to be where and march in the same way. What do you just tell them? Just say, hey, just have fun with it and let's just see where we're at?
Well, the student leaders, we got like a really, really thick packet of everybody's spot on the field. So that's easier for us to show them where to help. I do tell them to have fun, but also be concentrated, be in the moment when we're trying to figure things out.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Very excited to be able to interview the director of the band here at Kennett, Mr. Dustin Bush, and also Dalton Bailey, who's a member of the band. Dustin, if I could, tell us a little bit about some of the things you're most proud of as your 4 years here at Kennett Public Schools.
I mean, the first thing that I have to say is I am proud of the support that the administration gives us. Over the last 3 summers, they have renovated the high school band room in a way that makes everything much more feasible for the students we have, but also possibility for students with any kind of disabilities. They've also developed the middle school band room this last summer. They have supported the band program in so many ways, and that's one of the best things that I can say about being here at Kennett is the administration is so supportive and with what I need to do, and as long as they know that I'm advocating for the students and not just for something frivolous that I'm just wanting to throw out there, that's the thing that I'm the most proud of is being in a school district that has that kind of support.
And in talking to Dustin Bush, you have a very unique setup in that you're also in charge of the middle school program. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Which requires you to pack up, I guess, in the middle of the day from the high school, go to the middle school, and you have 3 bands in middle school. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about the middle school program. I know that we've been focusing on the high school, but obviously it sounds like you have an outstanding plan in which you have the 2 drum majors who are seniors. You have the drum major who's going to be a junior, the apprentice, and the sophomore. It's kind of like a line of succession, so that way you're always building for the future. Tell me a little bit about how you handle the middle school process, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Well, one of the things that makes us the most successful, I think, is the 6th grade, the earliest band, in the beginning band, and the intermediate band. Those bands are both led and directed by my assistant band director, Melanie Bush, my wife. She is really, really amazing with the younger kids. I'm usually a little less patient, as most dads are with middle school boys and girls. And so one of the best things is just having that working relationship where she's in charge of those 2 bands and we work on the same goals going forward. The same band family values apply to them. We basically came to them and said, hey, varsity band said, this is what's important, so we're going to make it important to you too. So that's what we reference all the time from the beginning of beginning band, which is the part where kids have never done anything, and now we're going to put these big, giant, expensive things in their hands and say, here's how you make sound. We have a beginning band, and intermediate band, and an advanced band. Typically, that would be 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, but we have 7th graders who've never done band, so they're in beginning band. We have one 8th grader this year who I think is going to do great. And if they're working really, really hard, they can advance into another band earlier. We have a student in an 8th grade band who started like 4 or 5 weeks late in beginning band, and at Christmas, after the Christmas concert, she was bumped up to the intermediate band with her fellow 7th graders because she'd worked her rear end off and made sure she knew everything. And I would even bet that she's one of the absolute best clarinet players in the whole district as an 8th grader because she works hard and she likes it. But really with the beginners, it's about teaching them to love their instrument, love music, and learn all the basics. One of the biggest basics is that respect and discipline aspect. And we come in, and from the get-go, we are Johnny on the spot with, nope, we don't do that. This is how we're going to handle things. You have expectations, and we expect you to follow them all the time. But the middle school band program is the most important thing for this high school band program. If we don't start from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th graders and push in the values that we want to see in the high schoolers, it's not going to grow at the high school level. And we've also got to get them connected to the love of music, the love of performing, because if not, after 8th grade year, the world of sports opens up so much more for them, as well as things over with culinary arts and all the things over at the cottage and stuff. There's so many more things that they can do, and we have to compete against that. And if we can attach them to music in middle school, that's when we've got a band kid for life, like Dalton and Honesty over here. And
again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band. We're also talking to Dalton Bailey, who's a member of the band. He indicated that he is a section leader. Dalton, tell me a little bit about what would you consider to be the best moment of your career in band so far? I know that your senior year is probably going to be amazing. So let's talk about the first 3 years. What are some of the stuff that you've done with the band that you're like, I can't believe we're doing this?
I've got to say, my favorite memory is probably the thrill of the first time taking the field at our first competition my freshman year.
And where was that at? Tell me a little bit about it.
Was it Saxton?
That was Right City.
Right City. Oh, Right City.
Right City.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just something I guess I can say I've never felt before. So, I don't know.
And again, we're here with Dustin Bush, the director of the band for Kennett, and we're talking a lot about it. Dustin, is it something that you really focused on when you came here to say, hey, we're going to step up the game in regards to some competitions? We're going to do some more stuff with the band and things of that nature. Because I know that anytime you go to the Kennett Public Schools and you hear the fight song and you have the cheerleaders and you have the twirlers and everyone's fired up, that it's probably one of the most amazing experiences you can have in high school is when the band's playing. That's honestly just like in college games and things of that nature. Was it your desire to really kind of up that level of competitions and things the band did in addition to playing on the weekend at the games?
Well, I'll say it was my expectation coming in. So I'm from Southwest Missouri. That's where Evangel University is, and Southwest Missouri. It's all about the marching band. It's all about major competitions. In Southwest Missouri, you can't go 15 miles without hitting 7 or 8 marching competitions. So when I was talking through the head position with Dr. Leaker, when we were talking about that re-interview and transfer from the assistant position I was hired for, my expectation was every band does this. And so one thing I said is, I haven't done like a lot with marching band other than with my student teaching in quite some time. And so that was my concern. I'm like, hey, I don't have as much marching band experience as I would like, but I would love to take this position and go forward with it. I did not, however, know that the marching band that I knew from Southwest Missouri is not what was normally happening in Kennett. My expectation was the band plays, the band moves while playing, and they do 3 to 4 movements, and it's this spectacular visual thing. And as you come farther south in Missouri and you come farther east in the United States and south in the United States, there are lots of bands that still do the older way that, like, I love Dennis Nail and the way that he started the program, where you will march to a drum beat and you stop and you play a song, and then you march to a drum beat and move and stop and play a song. We call that a stand and blow now. That wasn't my expectation, but that's kind of been where Kennett has been in the past. I remember that very first football game, we were playing Apollo, a marching band piece written by a friend of ours, and the drum line starts off, and then the band starts playing and then moving. There was an audible gasp from the audience behind us, even though they really weren't paying attention. They weren't expecting us to play and move at the same time, and that's when I knew, okay, it's a lot different than the expectations are different from everybody here than what I had coming in. And so I really didn't set out to say, hey, we're going to do a whole bunch of things other than we had a student. I had a meeting with students before coming down to Kennett. We had a meeting in May in 2022, and we had a meeting with the 8th graders and trying to make sure that they stayed in band. And we had a meeting with the high schoolers, and there was one senior who has come back and played with the alumni band every year that we've had it, that was both happy and completely sad, because they always said, we don't ever do anything. We feel like we're doing all this stuff, but we're not doing anything. And I'm talking about the most recent history with COVID and all that other mess that's been going on. They're just like, we've been told, hey, we're going to do this, and then we don't do it. Hey, we're going to do this, and then we don't do it. And I said, well, we'll do stuff. I hear it from the band. We want to do things. So I went in with the mindset that I would have had if I was in a Southwest Missouri school.
And again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. I have the privilege of talking to Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, talking to Dalton Bailey, who's a member of the band. And were talking earlier to Honesty Long, who's also a member of the auxiliary in the band. Talking a little bit about the auxiliary, Dustin, they each have a sponsor. Is that correct? Who's currently the sponsor of the flags, and who's currently the sponsor of the twirlers?
So the color guard sponsor is...
I called it flags. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
Color guard.
Yeah. So the color guard sponsor is Shelby Pitts. She is a para at Masterson. And she is one of the students, one of the graduates from Kennett in 2020. and she is also on the Grow Your Own scholarship.
Right.
So a really, really nice young lady. She's been with us the entire time we've been here. Really, really happy to have her on staff with the marching band. She comes to all the competition. She runs those color guard kids thoroughly through the summer. And with her help this summer, the board approved a middle school color guard program.
Oh, outstanding.
So she has now added 2 middle schoolers to their color guard. So when the middle school marching band is going out this summer, or this fall, you'll see 2 color guard. In addition to the twirlers, you'll see the color guard 2 students at the back of the band there.
And then talking a little bit about the twirlers, who's currently the in charge of the twirlers?
Yeah, the Majorettes sponsor
Majorettes.
is.
I'm going to get the words right. I promise you.
It's all right. It's absolutely fine. It's not a big deal. The Majorette sponsor is Rachel Bush, who is the principal's office secretary at the high school.
Outstanding. And again, we're talking to Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools band. One of the things I think is also very interesting, Dustin, is whenever the bands combine, I think, is it homecoming maybe or something like that? Does the middle school band and the high school band at some point combine to try to play some music somewhere or sometime? Did I just make that up in my head? Am I wishing that you would do that, or does that really exist?
So previously there has been an 8th grade night at football games, and our first year we didn't have one because I didn't know it was an expectation. We loved the 8th grade night. We will have an 8th grade night the week before homecoming, so I think that's the 12th of September. So all the 8th graders will come over, and they'll just sit in the stands and play with us, and then they'll go on the field and watch the band do their halftime show, and then at the end we'll play a fight song together on the field. But it's not something it's something that's done off and on. I know way back when the 7th and 8th graders all marched with the high school band before some things changed. But in addition to that night, we have additional members who are brought back. On homecoming night, we always have alumni band, and we have any band alumni from Kennett who wants to come and play. Just you can come and play and all that kind of stuff. And so those are 2 nights where we kind of expand the band. But as a rule, the 8th graders or the middle school band doesn't necessarily always play with the high school band, but we try to do that 8th grade night, kind of getting them into what that marching is going to feel like, what it's going to look like. And some of them don't come to those games until that 8th grade night. So it gives them that hype feeling.
And again, we're Harold. Welcome to the booth with Derek Todd on KDX AM 1590, talking to the director of the Kennett Public Schools band, Dustin Bush. We're also talking to Dalton Bailey, who's a member of the band. Dalton, in regards to the band and you being a section leader, how do you guys kind of decide what music you're going to play as a band? Do you guys get to vote? For instance, could I request a little Winning by Santana, or could I something like that? How do you guys go about deciding what musical selection is going to be played? Or is it totally Mr. Bush?
So we had a leadership meeting before the first week of band camp to decide our pet band songs for this year. And we cut 2 or 3 pieces that we've played in the past and then added a few more. So I'm guessing that's how he does it each year.
So it's my understanding that, Dustin, in talking to you about that, do you allow the members of the band to kind of say, hey, here's what we'd like to play with some guidance, or how do y'all decide? Because I always think that's amazing. Like you said, you indicated this year the presentation on the field is Aladdin. Is that correct? Arabian Nights. Excuse me, Arabian Nights. How do y'all decide that?
So there's a couple different ways that we decide music when we're talking about like field show. A lot of that happens just with the auxiliary staff and myself and the assistant band director. We're looking through different things, and we're just listening for ideas that other people have come out with. And then we present those to the students and say, hey, listen to these couple different things. Just kind of give us your idea. But when it comes down to it, ultimately, and I tell them right out, this is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship, and I'm in charge. And ultimately, I'm the one that pays the price if something's not right. And so there was another show that they wanted to do, Heartbreaker. And I chose this one over Heartbreaker, and that's okay. They've fallen in love with it. They're gonna be good with it. But a lot of times, the music that I choose, whether it's for marching band, pep band, or concert band music. It's about the educational aspect, because I had one of my seniors mention something this summer and saying, you know what, before you guys got here, we didn't know about X, Y, and Z. We never even heard about it. And so that's something they should have learned in their first 3 years, but they didn't because of what was here before. And so I'm always, the assistant band director and I are always looking at what do they need to learn, and we do that starting in the middle school. We look at the sixth graders and say, what do they need to know when they get in the seventh grade? Because this is what I need them to know in eighth grade. And this is what I need them to know in high school. And so this last year, we did a lot of stuff in compound meters, so like 6/8, like Green Sleeves and songs like that, where it's not the standard 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 that they're used to, because they've got to grow musically. And we will always take into consideration their opinions. I actually tell them, anytime you have a song that you want us to play, find music that I can buy and then send me the link. If you send me a link to something on a website that is not necessarily legal, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'll tell you to find the music. But if you can find me music for a band that that meets the requirements that you want, absolutely, I'll entertain it and we'll look at it. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDXA and 1590 with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band. We're here with Dalton Bailey, also with Honesty Long, talking a little bit. Mooring and I, we always would request Winning by Santana. If you have that, that's one of my favorites. Also,
we tried Santana once; it didn't work out very well.
I love any group that's named after someone who's just the guitar player who doesn't actually is the vocalist. So, that's my shtick on that. Dustin, and talking a little bit about band and, things a lot of people think about is, again, we're Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDXA and 1590, talking to Dustin Bush, director of the Kennett Public Schools Band. One thing that I want people to know, and I think you can kind of clarify this, a lot of people are concerned about the ability in our area to pay for instruments for their children to be a member of the band. Obviously, it's very difficult economic times and things of that nature. But I think if I ask you the question of, is there a way that everyone who wants to be involved in band can be involved in band, is that a correct answer?
Absolutely. And
I don't want people to think that their children, because of finances or things of that nature, can't be involved in band. Is that correct?
100%. The thing that I have been told by every single administrator at the Kennett school system is the last thing we want is a kid to not participate in band because of money. I have a budget. I have a budget that I can buy instruments. I'm buying instruments. I just bought 2 French horns just last month. And I have flutes. I have clarinets. One of the worst things for me to find out, which happened not last year, it was last year. I found out from a mom of one of the band kids that one of their kids' friends quit band in that first year because their parents couldn't afford the rental on their instrument. And I say this all the time. I wish they would have told me. I have 6 saxophones sitting in there that they could have played. It's just sitting there doing nothing right now because I don't need them. I have the saxophones I have, or have their own instrument, or we've got them covered. The last thing I want for a kid is for them to not participate. I have the budget to make sure that it happen. Now, when we get to bigger instruments, like we usually take care of those anyway, because you're not going to ask a beginning tuba player to pay $6,000 for a tuba. Or, when they do the upgrade instruments like tenor saxes, bari saxes, and those kinds of things, we take care of those instruments as a rule. Sousaphones, we take care of those instruments as a rule. But it's so disheartening. And we've been doing a push this week with our 6th grade this year. It's a kind of a smaller 6th grade grade level this year. And we've been pushing all week trying to get more students enrolled in band. And one of the things that comes up is I wanted to talk about it with my parents, but I know we don't have the money. You don't need money. When we go on trips for contests or things like that, we cover it. We have, if the school district didn't have the money for it, I know with people that I've got connected with our new band society that we could have money if it was that kind of an issue. But the thing is, we have the support of the administration, and we have the money to make sure that they have what they need.
And again, we're here on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590. Talking to Dustin Bush, he's the director of the Kennett Public Bands. We're talking to Honesty Long. We're also talking to Dalton Bailey. And that's one thing that I want people to realize is, hey, the band is open to everyone. I do not want you to think that it's a monetary issue. It will be taken care of. If there's a trip, you indicated there's a band society. Is that correct? Is that something that's been recently formed?
Yeah, so the school board approved the Kennett Band Society a couple years ago, and this last school year is when we really started trying to getting it under wraps. And so it's a 501c3 kind of nonprofit corporation, but what the whole point is to connect families and to give people opportunities to connect, to just support the band, not financially. The band society, the reason we don't call it like a booster program, it's not about money. It's about just getting people connected to help. So like we go to marching competitions. We have to have a parent who can tow the trailer. We have to have a parent who can help organize meals. We have to have a parent who can help verify uniforms and all that kind of thing. And right now we have a good solid 6 to 8 parents that help. But when you have 6 to 8 adults plus the 4 staff members, you're looking at 10 adults with 53 high schoolers and all the different needs that they have. It's not about a leadership position. It's not about getting money. It's not about anything other than supporting the students. And honestly, the biggest thing that I want to see from the band society is parents supporting other parents, because you have a senior. I'll use one of my seniors, Toby Ray. His father has experience with a clarinet player squeaking and squawking all week long as a beginning player. But I have a beginning player whose parent probably doesn't have any experience with that, and they can talk through, like, I promise you, let them do this way, and you will get a better result. And one of that cross-band support to really hone in on the family aspect of really what a band is, because in most cases, these students who carry on with band, they're going to be with me and the assistant band director for 7 years. And so, I mean, it's the same thing as a long-term family relationship. And so, again, the band society is not about money. It's all about just making connections and support directly for middle school and high school band students.
And again, we're here with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, and we're with Dalton Bailey, who's a member of the band. Dalton, as we're kind of wrapping up this, are you looking forward to the upcoming season? Is there anything in particular that you're scheduled to do in the band program that you're really wanting the folks to say, hey, come out and support us, and you'll be really amazed about what's going on with the Kennett Public Schools Band?
I'm most definitely excited for this year, from my last year with the Kennett Band. One of my most exciting things to look forward to is probably the football games. The competitions too, but the football games are always the most exciting for me.
Outstanding. And is it my understanding there's also going to be a jazz band at the basketball? Is that correct? Going to happen this year?
So we do pep band. It's not necessarily.
I'm going to get one word right before we. I promise you.
Yeah. So we do pep band at the basketball games. We try to do a couple girls games and a couple guys games where it's the same music that we're playing in the stands, maybe a little bit different here and there. But it's kind of the same thing we see at the football games without the marching on the field thing.
And as we're wrapping up, we've got a couple of minutes here. Dustin, is there some dates or some events that you would really like to say, hey, here's what's coming up. Please come and see these. We're really excited about that.
Yes, absolutely. I this year for marching band specifically, we have done what we can to stay as close to home as possible. Since I've been here, most of our marching competitions are 3.5 hours away, because we are 3.5 hours away from everything in Missouri in many cases, down here in the Boot Hill. So this year we are trying to get as close to home as possible so we can have as many people come and experience a marching band competition. The marching band competition is more than just one band. It's all the bands that you see, from the young, small bands to the experienced giant bands. The 27th of September, we're going to be in Gosnell at the Pirate Invitational. And you can find all these dates on our Facebook page, and we'll be updating with our actual performance times. October 4th, we're going to be in Jonesboro for the Mid-South Classic. October 11th, we're going to be at Sikeston for the Southeast Missouri Band Association contest. The 18th, we're going to be at the farthest distance this year in Park Hills, Missouri, is the Rebel Invitational. And then October 25th, we'll be at PMMI over in Paragould, the McDonald Marching Invitational.
And again, if we want to get those dates, we can look on the website. The Facebook page.
Yeah, you can do the Facebook page. Kennett Mo Bands is our Facebook page. Or if you go in a roundabout way, you can either find the website from there, or you can find the website from my name, under my name at the high school on the school website.
And let's just say that we're old school and we want to get a hold of the band and say, hey, I'd like to help out the band in some way. I'd like to be a member of the band society. I'd like to do some kind of donation. How would we do that, Mr. Bush?
Easiest way is to come to a band society meeting. The next band society meeting is on Thursday, the 27th, at 7 o'clock in the high school band room. The other way is to just contact the high school, and my extension is 1525. You can leave me a message, or you can leave a message with the office at the front, and Miss Rachel, our twirling sponsor, will be more than happy to get that information to me. She'll probably text it to me in a matter of seconds after you leave it. And
again, we're on Welcome to the Booth with Darren Todd on KDX AM 1590, winding down with Dustin Bush, the director of the Kennett Public Schools Band, as well as Dalton Bailey, member of the band, and Honesty Long. I'd like to thank them all for coming in today, and I hope you enjoyed this. I know in the past the bands have always kind of went unnoticed, as well as the auxiliary, the color guard, and also the majorettes.
There you go.
So I'm improving, and I want everyone to know how important it is to come out and support the band, support the auxiliary. Mr. Bush, he's done an outstanding job in his 4 years here. We're very lucky to have him and his wife. Hopefully he'll be here for many years to come. So again, on behalf of my producer, Maureen Johnson, who's always got a lot of exciting things to say, in that right, Maureen? Absolutely. I don't let him have a microphone for a reason. This is Welcome to the Booth on KDX AM 1590 with Darren Todd. Thank you for making us part of your day. I hope you have a good afternoon and a better tomorrow.